now rocking with the best. Debates get hot, boy, I am so many fresh. I talk cash money like I'm Birdman. Tackle topic straight on, no swerving. All facts is what I'm serving. No one's better or more deserving than me. I bring that heat like Miami on a whole nother level like I'm Otani. I prove points by helping you visualize, using data that's analyzed by eagle eyes. Get your mind right and act like you know. You are now tuned into the Real Untouchable Podcast.
Hey, what it do, sports world, and welcome to the Real Untouchable Podcast, man, with me, Ray Giggs. I got a great segment for you all, man. I want to talk about college football. As you all know, college football is back. And, man, I think it's going to be a hell of a season. I really do. But before I get started, man, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and also the share button. And make sure y'all give me your feedback on what you all think about this segment. But, hey, let's go ahead and jump into it. We're going to talk about college football, okay? And will the SEC be able to return to glory? Okay, we got a lot of top teams that's coming out of the SEC this year. You know, you got the Alabamas, the Georgias, you got the South Carolina that should be better this season. You got the Texas, okay, you got the LSUs, okay. So when I talk about the SEC, can the SEC return to glory? It's going to start early in the season. But we're going to talk about the first game. As you know, the first game starts tomorrow with Iowa State against Kansas State. I think Kansas State will win that game because I think Kansas State have a better quarterback. I think that's right there is what it's about. It's about quarterback play when it comes to college football. And I think Iowa State have a better quarterback, so I'm going to ride with Iowa State to get it started tomorrow. Kansas State to get it started tomorrow because Kansas State, you have a quarterback. Like I said before, Kansas State have a quarterback. Iowa State, they have a all-around team that's pretty good. But when you talk about quarterback, you know, they returned their starting quarterback from last season. So I think Kansas State should be primed to possibly win this game right here tomorrow against Iowa State. It's a number 17 Kansas State, number 22 Iowa State. They're going to kick it off tomorrow. I'm going with Kansas State to win that game. Okay, but the first weekend, it's going to be a big weekend. Because first of all, we got the number 1 versus the number 2 team in the nation. Well, number 1 versus number 3. We got number 1 Texas going down to the Horseshoe to face the Ohio State Buckeyes, the SEC, the Big Ten. They going to get it started early. But we also got LSU traveling down to Death Valley to face Clemson. These two teams have been going back and forth. Who's this? Who's the better team? Who's the better? Who got the toughest stadium? Who's the real Death Valley? Well, hell, we're gonna find it out next weekend when these two teams tangle. And I think that right there gonna be a game that's gonna have playoff implications of later on in the season, because if LSU can go in there and beat Clemson, that's gonna tell you a lot, especially if Clemson goes on to do what we think they should do, which is run through the ACC and become the ACC champions. That's gonna be. We're going to look back at this game right here at the beginning. We're going to say, hey, the SEC did beat the ACC champions. So, turn this down a little bit. So, we'll say that the SEC did beat the ACC champions at the beginning of the season in their house. Same thing when it comes down to the Big Ten. Okay, if Texas can go in there and beat Ohio State, we're going to say, well, hell, especially if Ohio State is good like we think they're going to be, we're going to say, listen, Texas went into Ohio State and beat the top team in the Big Ten, or the second ranked team in the Big Ten, or maybe even the third ranked team in the Big Ten. So that's going to be big for playoff implications, okay? And then you have Alabama going down to Florida State, Doak Campbell Stadium, Bobby Bowden Field to face Florida State, the Seminoles. Can Alabama get off to a fast start? Can Alabama go down there and do what we think, I feel that they most likely going to do, which is go in there and pretty much tear the house down against Florida State? I've been telling everybody that this Alabama team is better this year. I think quarterback play is going to be better. Yeah, they lost a running back, but they got a whole slew of running backs, okay? They are loaded at the wide receiver position. The offensive line should be more dominant than it was last season, even though they lost Tyler Booker, even though they lost Elijah Pritchard. But they should be even better than they was last season. Okay, we're going to talk about the defensive line. I think they have NFL talent all the way around that defensive line. They returned Lawson at the linebacker position. Okay, then you got the secondary. From what I am hearing that you don't even know the difference between Alabama's second screen first starters and their second screen secondary. They said that they basically look the same when you put them on the field. So I'm looking at that and I'm thinking to myself that Alabama is going to be loaded when it comes down to the secondary this season. And I think that that's going to be pivotal. It's definitely playing in the SEC when you got to play against Georgia, when you got to play against Texas, okay, when you got to play against South Carolina, or you got to play against LSU. I think it's going to be really, really, really important for them later on in the season to have this type of depth on the defensive side of the ball, okay? And then, like I said, you got LSU. They returned a lot of weapons, okay? They returned their quarterback, Nessmeyer, okay? That's going to be big for LSU. And LSU got to get off to a fast start. They need to beat Clemson. Brian Kelly is on the hot seat this year. He have to be. I think that I'm not saying that he need to, go 15-0, but he needs to get into play. He got to be in the college football playoff this year. And I'm gonna tell y'all why. Because LSU is not one of those places that you can go and you can get 8 years to just be regular, just be winning 8 games. That's not the place that they do that at. They will fire you. Ask Les Miles, ask Ed Orgeron. You have to go down there and you have to make a statement playing at LSU. You just have to. It's mandatory. Okay. So I think that this right here is a very important year for Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers. The North Sellers, he returns for South Carolina. South Carolina, one of those teams that we think is going to be a sleeper team. Okay. Texas A&M. We think Texas A&M could possibly be a sneaker team that can possibly get into the college football playoff. Okay. So it's a lot of teams out here that I feel that that should be really, really good this year. Okay. Starting off with the number 1 team, Texas. We know Texas is going to be good. Arch Manning returns at quarterback, where he takes over at quarterback for Quinn Ewers. So I think that Texas is probably the most loaded team in college football, top to bottom, offense, defense. I think that they have at least 5 to 7, maybe even more first-round picks on their defensive side of the ball, led by their defensive ends and their linebacker. And also they got a couple back there in the secondary. So they got 4 to 5 just on their defense. Not counting Arch Manning, because I think Arch Manning would be a first-round pick as well. So this team right here is loaded. This right here is probably Sark's best team that he's had since he's been at Texas. So he's going to have to make some noise this year, because I think those Texas boosters are becoming impatient. We can say what we want to say. Yeah, they love the offense. Yeah, they love the turnaround that he's done, but they want a national championship. That's what Texas do. And I think that this year, Sark and Texas can possibly get over that hump. You got Ohio State returning Jalen Sayans, the former Alabama commit. He's taking over at quarterback, but you got Jeremiah Smith. Okay, you got Jeremiah Smith. You got the man-child. You got the best wide receiver, most likely in all of college football, in Jeremiah Smith, that's going to be getting the ball to. But you also got Carnell Tate. You also got Enos. You also got a lot of young players that they got in that came into the recruiting class. This team right here is going to be loaded again this year. But will they be as good as they was last season? I don't know. And the reason I don't know is because you can't lose as many players as you lose, like Ohio State lost, and still be at the top of your game. They won the national championship because of senior leadership. Well, you know what that means. Seniors are gone. They lost a lot in the NFL draft. They lost a lot in that senior class. So this right here could be one of those years where they don't win 14 games. Maybe they win 10 games, and then they get into the college football playoff, and we just see what happens from there. But when you got Jeremiah Smith on the field, you always have a chance. That's just my opinion. Then you got Penn State coming out of the Big Ten. Okay, when you think about Penn State, yeah, they're returning their quarterback. Yeah, they're returning a hell of a defense from last season. They got weapons. I think to be honest with you, if I had to pick right now, if I had to bet my money right now, I would probably say between Oregon and Penn State to probably win the Big Ten this year. I think that those are two teams right there that's loaded, okay, especially on the defensive side. Not saying that Ohio State isn't because they are, but I just think that they have more leadership coming this season than recent years. Okay, so I think Penn State is going to be right there. It won't surprise me if Penn State and Oregon meet for the Big Ten championship, and I'm gonna probably go with Oregon to possibly win it, but it won't surprise me if Penn State win it. Okay, same thing in the SEC. I think that Texas and Alabama will meet for the SEC championship. Not leaving out Georgia. I think Georgia is going to have a hell of a season, but I just think that Texas and Alabama will meet for the SEC championship, and I'm gonna go with Alabama to win the SEC championship and possibly be the number one or number two overall seed in the college football playoff. Now I might be wrong. Y'all see the flag back. I might be Alabama biased. I like Alabama. I also like Arkansas. Those are my two teams. But I just think that Keelan DeBoer's offense with Kane Womack's defense, I think Alabama is primed for a big year. That's just why I'm saying all of this right here. Then, like I said, you got Clemson. They're returning their Heisman Trophy candidate quarterback, Cade Klubnik. Cade Klubnik. I've been watching this kid ever since he was at Westlake. I said that this kid right here, I said if he came out the draft last year, he could possibly have been the second quarterback taken. Now he's coming out next season. He could possibly be either the number one or number two pick, whether you want to go with him or the Lenore Sellers or Ness Meyer or Arch Manning. It depends on what type of quarterback you want. Okay, and then you also got the kid down there in Miami. So you got a lot that you can choose from when you come to the quarterback this year. But he's returning to Clemson. Clemson got a slew of defensive linemen that's probably going to be top 10, top 15 picks in next year's draft. So this right here might be one of Dabo Swinney's best team at Clemson. So I think that besides that LSU game, I think that that's probably going to be their hardest game of the whole season. If they can win, and they're playing that game at home. So if they can win that game, I think that this team right here runs the table and possibly get to the college football playoffs. And they'll probably be the ACC champions this season. But I'm not going to go through all these teams. I just want to let you all know that it's going to be a big weekend of college football. Oregon got a new quarterback. Okay. Same thing, like I said, Miami, you got Illinois, South Carolina, Michigan, Florida. I think Florida is going to be better than they was last year. I think Michigan is going to be better with Bryce Underwood at the helm. Okay, DJ Lagway, he's taking over at Florida full time. If he can stay healthy, I think that he can do big things down there in Florida. I think Florida can make some noise. Okay, same thing with Kansas State. Kansas State, I think they're going to be really good this year. Indiana, can Indiana get over that hump? Get over the they finally made noise last season. Can they build on that noise? Okay. Same thing with Ole Miss. I think that when you got Lane Kiffin, you always have a chance. So that's right there what I'm saying, man. I think this right here is gonna be a hell of a season. But this right here is my first episode 1 for this year, the 2025 college football season. I will be coming on next week to talk about the slew of games that we got, and I'm going to give you all my predictions. I gave you all my one prediction this week. Next week, I will be coming on, and I will be giving you all my predictions for the entire top 25 teams. But hey, thank y'all again for listening to the Real Untouchable Podcast, man, with me, Ray Diz. Until next time, y'all have a great, safe Friday. Peace.